This will be just another review of working on Callahan, which is our last comprehensive problem. You are doing Callahan B, and these are the instructions for Callahan B. You're going to prepare the worksheet, and the information for the worksheet is on the back side of that handout. Beginning balances. I'd love for you to get that trial balance finished today when we have lab, so you can continue working on the worksheet. I didn't tell you whether those were debit or credit balances. So you've got to either look back in the book at one of the trial balances that lists all of your accounts so you know whether that's a debit or a credit. Good review for the test, because I'm going to be asking you whether accounts have a debit balance or a credit balance as their normal balance. From the worksheet, you're going to prepare an income statement, statement of owner's equity, and a balance sheet. Journalize and post those adjusting and closing entries, and then prepare a post-closing trial balance. You're going to journalize the reversing entry for wages and calculate the ratios on the attached sheet. And I'll show you how we're going to do those ratios. I'll also help you with those too. You will not be tested on the ratios for the final exam. Then we're going to do the comparative income statement. Remember that the net sales will equal 100% on that, and then do a comparative balance sheet. And your assets will be the 100% on there, and the liabilities and owner's equity. Use your check figure, 2,730. This is for B, for the net income. And then the following information is on the back side of this that you need. You also have your adjusting numbers that you need. For your comparative balance sheet, we're going to just list all of the items on the balance sheet on this, the inside column. We're not going to have where we do the calculations here and then put the total over here. We're just going to list all of the numbers on the left column. And if you'll notice, I put the 100% up here by the assets and the 100% down here by the liabilities and the owner's equity. These two numbers on the balance sheet are the same. That's the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Now, when we're doing the comparative balance sheet, we are looking at every number that's on the balance sheet. Maybe I can make it a little bigger. And remember, these are the A figures. So these are all of the numbers on the balance sheet. This equals 100% and this equals 100%. When we're doing a comparative balance sheet, we want to know what part of each one of these numbers is it to the 100%, which is the assets and the liabilities and the owner's equity. So what portion of cash is this 9,135? How do we come up with those numbers? What do we have to do to get the 100%?
You add all the assets and the plant and equipment.
Well, but we have to get the percents over here.
You would divide it.
We're going to have to divide, but what do we divide into which number? How do we get, if this is 100%, how do we get this percent? Bless you. It's the cedar fever. What are we going to have to do?
Why didn't you take the 7,090, which is the current total asset, and divide it into the?
Well, let's look at this one, 7,090, because that's the total current assets. Put in your calculator, if you would, 7,090 divided by this number that equals our 100%, 9,135. What number do we get?
77.6.
77.6. Now, it may go over 2 digits, but you only have to carry it over 1. So you'll have to do some rounding whenever it goes out to 2 places past the decimal. When Peachtree does this for you, the numbers, the percentages here, always equal this 100%. When we're using our dollar store calculators, and that's the calculator that I have, sometimes it carries it over, and then when you round it, you might be off just a little bit when you're doing that one. Remember, these are the figures for the A. So your percentages are going to be a little different. Now remember, this number and this number are the same. They're the 100%. And if we wanted to know accounts payable, what percentage of accounts payable is the total liabilities and owner's equity? Again, we would put 1,465 into the calculator divided by 9,135. If you want to put that in and just see if you come up with that number, 16%. Yes, okay? And when we add these up, in the perfect accounting world, they're going to equal the 100%. Now, we're doing this by hand, so I expect there to be just a little bit of a discrepancy with getting to the 100%. But if we were doing this in Peachtree or in QuickBooks, it's going to automatically do it for you. If you go back to your Atlas and Zelle and look at your balance sheet and your income statement, I believe the percentages were on there. If you'll go back and look at those printouts. All right, so this is the comparative balance sheet. We're going to do the same thing for the income statement. And again, this is A, and you're doing B, and our 100% number that we're going to use is our net sales. So that's the 100% figure that we're going to use. What part of all of these other accounts are part of this 100%, which is our net sales? And if you look at our sales figure up here, which remember is our gross sales, because we had to subtract our sales returns and allowances, it's actually over the 100%. Because we subtracted this number from it. So if you put this number in and divide it by the 100% number, you should come up with 101.8%. You might just try that and see if it comes out. Did it? Bless you. Did it? It should have. Okay, so it's a bit of calculating that you're going to have to do, because for each one of those numbers, on the income statement, you're going to calculate whatever percent that is. You have to do your regular balance sheet and income statement, where we're going to be doing our calculating over in the far left column in order to do this one, because we just put everything in one column here. We only have 2 columns on the income statement and the balance sheet.
Question, so for
Yes.
that one, we would take it off the 24,860 because that's the 100%?
This is the 100%, the net sales.
So that's what I would base, that would be my...
Yes, this is your number that you're going to divide by.
Okay.
Yes. So if we were going to do this one, the merchandise inventory for January 1, 6,160 divided by 24,860 should give us the 24.8.
I'm going to check.
Try another one and just see if you come up with the percentages that I have here. Just pick any of them and just see if it will come out.
No, I have it all.
Again, your numbers will be different because you're doing the B problem and this is the A problem. Now for the ratios, we went over this the other day, but I didn't have the camera on, so I think it's worth doing again. I'm not going to test you on this on the final exam. In some of your other accounting classes, you're going to have to memorize these ratios. You'll at least get to practice getting the ratios in here. And we're only doing it on Callahan, but I just don't want you leaving the intro class without hearing why we have the ratios and how we get those ratios. Our current ratio, that equation is your current assets, and we talked about current assets in chapter 12, divided by the current liabilities. So you have to finish all of your financial statements to do this so we can pull the numbers off. Current assets will have a total on the balance sheet that says current assets. For the quick ratio, it's only the liquid assets. And remember, we order assets in the order of liquidity, which ones we can turn into cash the quickest. And our liquid assets, the one that we can turn into cash actually the fastest, would be our cash and our accounts receivable. Only those two. It doesn't say that on your handout, but you might just put a little note that it's only cash and accounts receivable, divided by the current liabilities again. Working capital, current assets, minus current liabilities, and then the last two, we have to apply the math rules. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally with which function we complete first. P would be the parentheses, so we've got to do this part first, and then divide by 2 because that's the other parentheses, and then we're going to have cost of goods sold divided by that number, right? I don't even remember how many points I gave you for the ratios are worth 5 points on Callahan, looking at the grade sheet. So it's worth 5 points to try to do those. We'll put your math skills to the test, I think, on that. And today, after we finish with 10A recording, when you're working on Callahan, I would like to check your trial balance on the worksheet.